Well, hi, good morning. Thanks for joining me here in my shop for the start of another radio, a European style radio, still in its bubble wrap here. Just before I get going, if you're a subscriber and you watch my videos as I post them, then you know I just finished a unsuccessful struggle with one of my own radios, which is gone. Hey, thank God it's gone, because I really had enough of it at this point, but it will get back in my shop. That radio is important to me. It will get back in here and I will beat my brains out more with it. But for now, I'm going to move on to a number of radios I don't own that are here to be checked out and fixed up. This one, my goal with this one is simply to verify it's in good condition. If it's not, then to do what little I can to fix it up. This is not about complete restoration or anything like that. I'm a radio repair guy. I don't really do the restoration thing. So let's just take a look at it even before we get the bubble wrap off. There is something worth noting on this radio. I saw it when I was carrying it in. Can you see these lines running up the side here? So something's happening, I believe, to the coating on here. Not exactly sure what's up with that. Don't know if it's really quite pronounced here. Let me just change the camera a little bit. You can see it because of the way that, maybe if I just do this. Nope, that's even worse. There we are. Look at that, eh? So again, I don't really know what's happening. I think it's the surface coating has, maybe it picked up moisture or something and swelled a bit, and then it forming mountains. It looks like some kind of a geological event going on there. Okay, how's he got this done? Looks like it's taped underneath. Okay, certainly don't want to. So one of the things about working on a radio that's in this kind of condition is I get rather nervous because look at my shop. If you want to scratch something, bring it in here. Let's put it on its back here. Now, many European radios are designed so you can access the bulk of the radio right through the bottom here, through a bottom plate. We'll probably see that once I get this done. So the owner of this radio, I don't think he would mind me telling you, is an artist, and he does art with these radios. And I think that's why he's picking up these absolutely beautiful radios. Okay, there's one piece. It's a Nordmendi, I'm guessing. Voila! Wow. So this radio would be from the mid-50s, late 50s. I'm not exactly sure, to be honest with you. Something like that. It looks like Polka. P-O-L-K-A. It's a Polka. The town I grew up in was full of Ukrainian people. A lot of polka dancing going on. Okay, got the antenna here. External speaker. This is probably a phono input, tape input, something like that. Got a little message here. For 115 volts AC only. I can't quite read that. Let's get a different camera on it. What are they saying here? $45 3 times over. 3 languages. So this is an export radio. Looks like French, Spanish, and English. 115 volts. CA. I don't know what CA is. CA? Canada? 50 or 60. Okay, so this is the Canadian Standards Association approval stamp for this to be operated here in Canada. There's actually quite a bit of writing on here, but it's almost all invisible. Before removing the back, disconnect set from mains. Now mains, now that's kind of a British way of saying things. And then other languages. Before removing the back, unplug it. Man alive, if people need those instructions. There's the number 813. This is an 813E. Polka. Any other little hinty things? Oh, there's all kinds of stuff written here. You cannot see any of this. Keep dry. Do not submerge. Keep dry? Really? And look, that's what in English, keep dry, but in Spanish, protectialo de la humidity. Okay, well the humidity side I can get onto. Keep dry. Okay. FM/VHF. VHF. 240 ohms. 240 ohms. Even tells you what the impedance of the antenna should be. For this radio, what else we got down here? Oh. So it's showing a, look at the number of insulators they've got hanging on this antenna that they're showing here. Three sets of insulators. And I don't have any on my antenna. There's a earth it to a water pipe. That's the serial number right smashed onto the chassis through a little window. Okay, so what's all this about here? Oh my gosh, I read that, didn't I? Made in Germany. Pickup. There's the picture of the pickup. So that's for the record player. Can't read this part. Playback. This is probably for a tape deck. Oh, only got 3 things? 3. Like the number. No number here. Three. Oh no, this one over here. 3. 3 holes, 3 wires. That's definitely the tape. There's the tape recorder right there. Tape recorder. Okay. Moving along here. Whoa. Hey, 5 ohms. Don't fool around with that. Don't go sticking an 8 ohm speaker when I'm looking for a 5. It says 5, you better put 5. So that's the lesson I learned on the last radio. And sort of half learned it. I haven't fully learned that yet. Oh yeah, here I've already looked at this. Yeah, around the corner. For some reason someone has taken the time to draw a black arrow at the screw, but didn't do the same over here. So what's that arrow? What's he saying there? I don't know. No big deal. Okay, no big deal. But I just like to avail myself of whatever information is available. We turn it right on, right now, without doing anything. We should at least look inside, at the very least. I think there's a very good chance this radio works as it is. Ooh, look at the top. Oh, same effect all over the top. I would think that's becoming a little fragile, and we'll take a really close look at it. Why don't we do that right now? There's something fragile there. I should be aware of it now. They certainly look like fractures, don't they? Not just... Looks like shrinkage has done this. Those look gapped. No, it's not. Let me look with my eye. You can't really see it, so small, but they look gapped. So I mentioned the coating expanding. Of course, the opposite's been happening. And then why the raised edges there? I don't know exactly. I mean, this is moving over the substrate surface, so it must be like pulling right off, and maybe it loses its adherence. You know, in the middle here, in the middle of a expanded area, maybe here, it's still sticky, but out here on the edges where it's shrunk, it's maybe pulled itself away, and then since it's not adhering, it can lift, and that's why it's giving that lifted look. Not much. It's there though. No, so I'm looking for chips or any evidence that it's really breaking down, but I don't see anything like that, other than the lines themselves. Oh, there's the inevitable paint. You must have paint. All good old radios have paint on them somewhere. Paint specks. So I really don't see the coating is fracturing, and I guess because it's shrinking and pulling apart. It's not the collision of continents, you know, driving up mountain ranges. It's you know what this is? This is a rift valley opening up, similar to what's going on in Iceland right now. Did you know there was a rift valley through the middle of North America? And there was a period of time where North America was splitting down the middle, but it never finished. Okay, let's take this out. I think it's called the Great Central Rift. I'm not sure what it's called. In North America. Let's just hold on to here. I gotta show you these on the close-up camera here. What? I don't know. Did somebody leave this out at one point and a dog went after it? What the heck happened to that? Well, it's really weird looking. What's all this junk here? Well, that's pretty odd. I don't know what would other than a very nervous technician. I don't know. I don't know what would do that. Okay, out you come. What's this clip here? This clip has a wire hooked up to it. Okay, don't know what that was. She's a dust bunny. Oh my gosh, she's really dusty in there. Surprising. Let's look at the back here first. You can see the amount of dust on it. I mean, it's beautifully clean on the outside, but inside, not what I would expect. Tube layout. Magic Eye 2. It says something up here. I don't know what that is. Valve lineup. More British talk. I guess the Germans learn their English from the British. I don't know. Nobody knows where the Canadians learn their English. Okay. Yeah, good thing I didn't just snap this on. Let's take a look at it. So, you know, as dusty radios go, this one's pretty high on the dust level. It really is. Hello, Shadow. Yeah, we're going to have to take a little bit of a close-up look at this, I think. It is dust covered everywhere. It's got, obviously, some bad capacitors in it. Bad-looking capacitors, anyway. Bad type of capacitor. Otherwise, pretty similar looking radio to most of these European radios. What? Yes. Now you're outside today already. You've been outside. And what happened yesterday? Do you remember the drama with the chipmunk? You and Peanut together chasing the chipmunk? I had to intervene. Save the chipmunk's life. Save the chipmunks. Cats and chipmunks are funny. I just yank my camera cord out here just a sec. That's what happens when you yank the cord out. And rest over. Back in business. I have seen a number of times now, too many times to ignore it, chipmunks taunting cats, taunting our cats, trying to play with them. A chipmunk have every opportunity to run away, but stand there and face them and jump on them, jump at them, jump around them. You know, like, the same thing's true for humans. You know, you can play with a lion, but it's not a good idea. Same thing for these chipmunks. It usually doesn't end well for them in the long run, but I've come down to try to intervene, and the chipmunk wants to continue playing, and the cats and the chipmunk move away together. I don't know. Anybody else see that? Like I say, doesn't end well for the chipmunk. Okay, close-up camera now. And I'm wondering if I should try running this radio at all, or in fact take it out. There's the string. Hey, we never tried the tuning dial. Uh-oh. We never even tried it. So a lot of these radios have, well, this one looks like it has two tuning dials, probably an FM and an AM, or an FM and everything else. So this is probably the FM. There's the dial pointer. No? How about the other one? There we go. So it turns out the big knob is the FM one. I like these. So the two knob system is better than there's another system. Let's see. Yep, this one moves too. Feels good. Feels good. Very good. A lot of these radios have a gearing system with a single knob on the front. And when you're pushing the selector button for bands, you're pushing some gears around, and the single knob can drive two separate mechanical systems because of the gearing. There's a gear shift. Gear shift takes place in it. That's a problematic system. It usually starts sticking and things like that, of course. Now let's just go through here. What's this important message say here? Achtung. Neutralizations. Neutralizations. Okay, that's what it says. And there's the neutralizers, probably. Yeah. There's the tube in there. Look at the dirt. Wow, this has been in somebody's garage or something like that for a long period of time. Maybe they covered the outside of it, so it looks so great. You'll be out in the garage, temperature out of control, going way high, way low, and eventually cracking the coating. Maybe that's how that happened. Or just moisture going in and out. Wow, that's fiber. It looks like a lot of like carpet fiber or something like that. The antenna. Sometimes these wires get broken. A lot of these radios, the antenna rotates. Not in this one. A rotating antenna, it will break its wires. A shielded wire there. These all look fine. Right up in the front of the radio here. There's some tone push buttons here. But they're just right out. The contacts are right out in which is good and bad. Bad, get dirty. Good, can clean them. Oh, that's the same antenna. Just looking at it from another angle. Coming across here, the light. A very interesting clip holding it there. Hopefully it's a bayonet type. Okay, speaker. What can we find out about the speaker? Now, the last radio, the speaker impedance turned out to be a really important factor, and I only found that out after an awful lot of chasing my tail around in the radio. And the resistance was written in a spot like this, in a weird spot all by itself. Very odd. What's the extra wire for? Are there two speakers in here? Oh, right. There's a driver right here. This is a speaker. Now, is that an electrostatic one? Often these radios have electrostatic tweeters. It looks a little big for that. Can't see for sure. Too many wires in the bundle. Well, this has got a steel. This is a steel wire here. Anything hidden in here? Any money? Dirt? Only dirt. Okay. And at the other corner of the radio now, here's the big power transformer. Right on top of it is probably the output transformer. And all these really ugly looking capacitors here, and we can almost be sure they're bad. Some resistors up here. Sometimes there's fuse things on these radios up in this area. Don't see any. There's the plug. I'm going to separate nice. Great. Oh, there's a lot of wires in that plug. What all is this thing feeding? Holy smokes. Okay, so a couple go down here. Looks like they carry the ground on. And a big bundle. It's going into the light. Heading down towards the magic. Is that the magic eye? What is that down there? What do you see? Looks more like a capacitor. No, it's not the magic eye, that's for sure. The magic eye is way up here. Some of the magic eye wires are in this bundle. Two bundles here that are kind of getting mixed up. Looks like some of these wires go to this tone switch. Oh my God, a tone switch. Yeah. Okay. Now, look more through the front of the radio over here. Start here. You gotta wonder, can dust alone interfere with a radio's operation? I mean, obviously it can get into contacts, but can it like short out? Like, look at the leads there. Can it short something like that out? Well, there's some high voltages in this radio. I don't know if any of them are up here on top. Like, you combine all this stuff with moisture, you need like a high humidity, maybe 80% humidity, and you might get some tracking with a high voltage. You need a pretty high voltage to make that happen, though. Like a couple hundred volts or something. It looks terrible, doesn't it? What's with that resistor? Is that a resistor? What's with that one? That one's cooked. That's a cooked resistor there. That's burned. Oh, a lot of dust. Yep. So, that's not good. This is the start of something. It could be something more. You know, like, did that slowly heat up and then burn away, or was it a conflagration? Something shorted and burned that guy out right away. So clearly I've got to remove all the dust here to really get a look at this stuff. Wow. Yeah, as dusty radios goes, this one's pretty bad. Could be more burned resistors. This is kind of the output area down in this area, so a little more power, current flowing, and a harder duty going on. Not too surprised to find something cooked up out here. Can we ever figure out what exactly it is? Look, it seems almost as if it's been replaced, because it looks like it's soldered to terminals. Those are terminals sticking up. Is that a common thing? I can't tell. Too much dust. Okay, let's go up this way. Those might be wires right out of the transformer. I'm not sure. Yeah, these guys are all pretty questionable. I already looked at this a little bit. Let's get right up on top here. Yeah. Well, we can't be sure of anything other than that one resistor there. We can't even know for sure that that resistor is the wrong value now, although I'd be willing to bet it is. Okay, I'm going to have to dust out this whole thing and then inspect it again. We can see what we can see. Okay, let's take another look here. Okay, down to the back here again. Again, we're looking for burned resistors or anything that capacitor there, 1000 picofarads. Gotta go. There's another one. So there's quite a few of these guys. Look at this. It's cracked. Judging from dust and things like that, moisture must have gone into this capacitor. So oop, left a little bit of dust in it up here. Oh, look at that. Oh, looks like something's been chewing on it. Yeah, so operating this radio, probably not a wise idea right off the bat. There's just too many of these. What do you call that? Wow, that's a... Now, is that why this resistor got cooked up? Where is it? It's down in here somewhere. Oops, a little bit better light here. Well, we don't know why that one cooked up. It's cooked up and it's right laid up against a capacitor. It looks like an electrolytic capacitor. Well, you want to bet? I bet. Here's my bet. That's a bypass capacitor, and that's a cathode bias resistor sitting there. So that says the output tube was drawing too much current, and that's probably because of a blocking capacitor on the grid no longer blocking, and that's probably this crushed one. Where is it? This crushed guy. Hey, that's quite a story already. And if you look at the tube itself, see the dark forming inside the tube, just in here. See that out of that hole, something has been spraying out of that hole. Be electrons, ions, something like that. And they've impinged on the back of the glass here and formed a dark material of some sort. So that's all mileage. See this one down here too, even though it's in a shadow there. Can I get it out of the shadow? You see black stuff on the inside of this tube, quite a few places. So it's possible then that what happened was the grid of this tube was allowed to go too positive, maybe even positive. England, and the result of that was too much through current, too much quiescent current through the tube. Too much quiescent current heated up the cathode resistor and did that to it. That's probably what happened. And that's a good reason why you don't want to turn this radio on. Oh my gosh, it's just a... Well, no mystery which capacitors are the bad guys. Clearly the next step is the radio, well, I was going to say should come out of the cabinet. Like I mentioned before, these radios are often made to be worked from underneath. I'm not so sure about this one. You can see an aluminum plate here. Let's look and see underneath. Sometimes there's surprising information. Sometimes people take $1,000 bills on the bottom of these radios. No porthole, just a bunch of screws holding the chassis up. So this is not like many other radios. To take the chassis out, so this can come out easy. That's a plug. All this stuff. So this is on the chassis. This is going to the magic eye. This is what's happening here. We have power for the light, and then you have the whole magic eye thing. So the magic eye thing can come off and just come out with the chassis. It's just done with a spring. Is that a latch? Let's take a closer look at it here. Yeah, there's a bit of like a hook. You just unhook the spring and the tube will just fall out and come with the chassis. That'll solve that. Trying to rely on my sense of touch to get that out of there. It didn't work. here. I can watch what I'm doing. Oh, perfect. Just need to hook that. I'm going to use my pusher-puller tool. Maybe not. And out it comes, literally. Hey, what can you see through that hole? What's out there? We don't know what's out there. Oh my God, I'm silly. Yeah, I don't take myself too seriously. Anybody knows that yet? Okay, what's happening now? I can see that this radio doesn't seem to be set in quite all the way. It's gapped out here. Actually, it's gapped out more here than here. Is it coming loose? No, there were all those screws down there. It can't be loose, can it? No, it's solid as a rock. Okay, so I gotta get underneath. I think I'm gonna do the hanging over the edge and I'll do them that way. Okay, screws are out. I'll get this off here. That was easy. Not a problem. And the light is coming. Is this coming? Now what about these tone buttons? See, the tone buttons are part of this system, so we're going to leave them behind. I think it's just going to lift out from here. 5 screws came out of the bottom of it. Okay. Good show in there. There's chickens. There's chickens inside this radio. Chickens, I tell you, chickens. What the heck is this doing in there? It's the first time I found a chicken, but it's not just a chicken. It's chickens. It's chickens. What the heck are these doing in there? Vita Barbecue, 1074 Boulevard, Pi 9, DU 4409 Montreal. Well, there's chickens in here. There's bound to be something else. What else is in here? Piece of debris. Yeah, this is some kind of foam trim that was probably around the edge of the glass here. That's bit to dust. What's this? Oh, a piece of elastic. Usually they come from. Oh, you know where that probably came from? That probably came from the clip here. No, that's still a little bit soft. Okay, we look inside. We see speaker grills here. They're actual grills, no speakers. So that's designed to fool people into thinking there's something more going on than there really is in the radio. This is the antenna. This piece here comes up, goes across. I don't know if we can get a look at it here with this camera. Maybe we can. There's some fancy stuff going on up there. And look, the two. What is this thing I have in my hand? Let me get the other camera. This is an awkward one to do this with because it has a tripod hooked up to it. Makes it a little awkward to stick it inside of radios. Here, let's look with this one. So we see the antenna line that goes to the radio here. This one here. It connects to it. Then there's another one. It connects to here. Well, what in heaven's name is this? You know, this could actually be an impedance stub. This doesn't look like something done by accident at all. It looks like they put a stub. So highly engineered antennas in these radios. That's been my experience. They're not just slapped in there. Some of the older radios have a shortwave antenna. It's just a wire looping around the inside of the case. I don't think it's heavily designed at all. Hey, what's that? What have I just discovered? I just discovered where the rectifier is in this radio. A solid state rectifier. So this guy might be shot also, or he might be semi-shot. Think about changing that out. I'm pretty sure that's got 4 terminals. It's got to be the rectifier. We didn't really look at this. This is the volume control. With a tap. And there's the capacitors down here too. Oh my, you know, all told, I'll bet you there's 15 of these capacitors that have to be gotten rid of. Well, you just can't tell if they're any good, and they don't look it. Let me take a couple out and test them. We'll know what the story is generally. I can get right down on top of this. Oh, here's another piece of this stuff. Here. Coming from the top of the radio. There's that burned resistor there. It's just hidden by the wires. And look, see, that capacitor's probably been cooked up by the hot resistor. I mean, this is a slow motion failure. It takes a long time. The capacitor that's driving the tube current up, slowly dissipating. Is there a piece missing on that other resistor here, right in the corner? What is that? That's a solder strike. Solder strike. Solder drip. Now look at that. Oh my gosh, look at, there's a whole whack of them. These terrible looking capacitors. Everything else looks good, like the resistors look nice. Looks can be deceiving. Did your parents tell you that? Mine never did. Okay, I think I've looked at this guy, looked this guy over enough now that we haven't looked underneath the chassis. Oh my gosh, it's really, maybe there's more chickens under there, or maybe that's where the chicken eggs are, underneath the chassis here. Okay, so turning these guys over is always a problem because the front panel is much bigger than the chassis. So I think if I put a block here, it's going to be on these pins. This side can be done. I need a big block, like a 2x4 or something like that. Really, this is close. No, this will do. This will do. Okay. Flip it up and rotate it a bit. Grab it on the transformer here. Oops. Not very steady. It's not quite what I was hoping for. We're just going to inspect it, so I'm just going to stand it there. these radios, they have these multiple push buttons on the front, and that provides a large number of terminals, usually on the top of the switch. This one, they're kind of in the back here. Then the radio designer uses those terminals to make a lot of connections between components. Some of those terminals are just free terminals, so there are a lot of connections made on this block, let's say. Maybe not in this radio, but in other radios. Sometimes the bulk of the radio is built on the back of these switches, and yikes. Sorting that out, really tough. You can't tell which pin is what on these switches. So here's some more of these capacitors, but they don't look nearly as bad under here. What do we got going here? This board looks really nice. Really nicely done. That would be a fairly early board. But it looks really nice. Very darkened up in here. Darkened badly up in here, all through here. A dark board, you might get, you can't really see it in the camera, you might get solder breaking down from the heat and stuff like that. Yeah, there are quite a few components kind of just stuck in here. Let's look at it with the close-up camera. You're looking up in the sky now anyway. Don't look up there. Let's look here. I'll just start down in this corner. So here's a wide open control of some sort. When I say of some sort, I mean it's bass, treble, something like that. See the string hooked up to the shaft? It's pulling on a spring. As I turn the wheel, it gets harder and harder to turn. It's pulling on a spring. I think it's pulling on a spring. What exactly? What is this control? Doesn't it say somewhere? Is there? What's going on here? I didn't notice this. Why is this shaft sticking way out on this? Looks like there should be another knob on top. Well, there's no way this is a single duty thing. This other one's the same. It has this piece protruding, and the top looks like this looks ugly. This part looks ugly here. I wonder if there's a cap that's supposed to go on this. I don't know. I've never ever seen like this where the shaft comes through. Normally, you don't see the shaft normally, of course. There are many radios they wouldn't want you to touch this shaft. They'd have this plastic covered for sure in other radios. Okay, so what is the string doing here? It's moving some kind of indicator that I missed on the front. Where? Ooh, that might be it up here. Bass. Yeah. I'm turning the turning the control here. The string goes up and does that. Nice. Often these things don't work, and they're usually located down near the knob, and very often they don't work. There's one over here. Where would you be? Hey, where would this one go? Wait a minute. Oh, way down here. Okay, to turn the treble. Yeah. Nice. These are usually backlit, and then you're pulling a screen down over them. Although the screen looks like you could see through it, but very good. Okay, that takes care of that. The volume control we were looking at it earlier is this somewhat monstrous guy here. Monstrous in the fact that it's really shaped. Like it's a pretty serious thing. Now this control has two knobs on it, but it could be Fulia knobs. It's really one knob. They don't move independently. And there's only, I think, one shaft. Can we see the shaft? Where to go? It's down there. Yeah, I think it's just one shaft coming through to this. Whoop, this guy. Okay. What are all these things on the back then? I don't know. Stuff on the back. Complicated volume control. So as I've mentioned a couple of times, in my mind, design engineers really go to whole hog on the tone control side of their radio they're designing to try to produce the tonal qualities they want, whatever that is. What is going on in there? Now these are push button switches, so let's start at this end. No, we'll start at this end. This has got to be the on-off switch right here. Get the big, that's not a big wire. That is. Okay, so you see these two wires here. They go right to the power. So power's coming in on these two wires to the back of this switch. I'll operate the switch here. So these switches often have trouble. So I'm going to essentially turn the radio on with another switch, and it's not plugged in. Ooh. That's not sounding so there. Grabbed. Ooh. Didn't grab it first. Okay, now, so that should have put the switch into the on position, and now if I operate the lever out here, it should snap to an off position. I'd say it got there, and then we operate any of the band switches, it comes back on. So it appears to be working. Sometimes the switch they incorporate in these radios is nothing more than a regular toggle switch with a string on it and a spring. Some of them are actually spring to pull it back. So you pull it on, and snap it back with a spring. Not this. Could there be trouble there? Oh yes, there could be trouble all through this switch. So they aren't grabbing very well. If you just work it for a while, it'll yeah, see, it's starting to improve already. So watch this little piece here as I operate the switches. You see it pop up? Now if I turn it off, yeah, that wasn't very exciting, was it really? It was not as exciting as I thought. I think this is the release bar, which is a sliding bar that's sliding across all these switches here and releasing them. So each time you activate another switch, it pushes the slide bar and releases the others. Something like that's happening. Don't fall over now. Hang on, my radio's falling over. Okay. So we have all the adjustments for tuning the radio. Maybe not all of them, but many of them are here. I guess that's some kind of material that's dried up, and maybe put some locking goop on here and it's giving up the ghost. You can see wax, looks like wax. Paint, actually, my eye looks like paint. The camera's a little overexposed on it. So they painted these with something to kind of lock them in place. And a lot of radios, of course, this is all waxed up, and it's a bit of a mess to play around with. And you can see this piece here. Oop, I just touched it. Okay, another piece here. Probably break that one off too. That's a little bit of foam that they shove down between the slug and the shaft the slug is turning in, and that's to put a little tension on it and to help lock it. Often what you see in there is actually a little piece of tubing shoved in there, or something like that, a little piece, a little band of rubber or something. In this case, you can see how it's pushed over too. Can you really see that? Whoa, the radio just went over. Well, a little hard to see in the camera, but I think if we could, we would see the slug is pushed over. So I'm not inclined to adjust stuff like this. The radio would have to be in pretty bad shape. So we're just looking down through the traces here, which I commented looked really good to my eye at a distance. And there's one that doesn't look quite so good. Sometimes you can spot, oh, what's happened there? It looks like a huge scratch. Right across a bunch of the traces there. Did I do that? I don't think I did that. I didn't cut them anyway, I didn't cut them through. Once in a while in here you'll find a trace that has been cut with a knife on purpose. Well, look at this one. Huh. Speak of the devil. What do you think of that? So, no, that's interesting. It looks exactly the way, it looks like it was made that way. It doesn't look like a mistake, but why? Why would they do that? Isn't that kind of odd? Just as I was saying it too. But usually what I'm talking about is somebody's come in with a knife and they've cut it. And I think once in a while that's a factory operation. Maybe they throw in an extra capacitor somewhere because of a tuned circuit, and some radios need the extra capacitor and some don't based on their individual build. So you can chop it out if you don't need it during the final stages of getting the radio ready. Well, that looks pretty good. This is the darkened area. Let's study this area. You can see in the camera it's darkened. So, yeah, well, you know, again, hard to see. Well, sometimes you can see a bad joint. That one in the middle of the screen doesn't look too good. Usually, these problems are exacerbated if it's a wire that goes to a control that people can touch and move. Is there anything back here that gets moved? No, there's nothing back here being moved. So, like a push button on-off switch will put some mechanical force on connections like this and crack them. And you can find that. These don't look all that great. They look like they're targets for resoldering. In this large area that's dark, like that's a fairly large area in the radio. About this much here. That'd take a lot of heat to spread out that far. And let's just look what's right above. So what we got right above, first we got the output tube, which is hot. Heat comes down through the tube socket. Can't really see the tube socket here. That is the tube socket right there, I think. Where? Right there. It's up here. It's up here higher. Wow, I can't recognize it underneath here. I don't see anything that really looks like a tube socket. Am I looking at this right? Here in the dark. It's just a socket surface mounted on the top, and there should be a circle. Usually a circle of leads with a thing in the middle, but I don't really see it. It's got to be here. So that's that tube. That's a hot one. What's this one with the shield on it? And the shield is carefully grounded. This is probably the detector tube here. It might be shielded because it's got a screamingly strong IF signal in it. Maybe I need to shield it, or the audio amplifier is too sensitive to leave unshielded. That one is here. So I can kind of make out a circle there. That doesn't seem... well, I guess there's a bit of a heat influence there. A little darkened. But there's nothing really dramatic going on here. Oh, more stuff to look at. So, oh, I missed this. This is the antenna. Well, I guess again, that's another area that the engineers love to mess around with. Well, why is the ring missing here? The rivet ring. So, what's going on back here? Okay, engineers gone wild. 1000, what's that say? 1000 V1, 250 volt, what? Coils. They painted a screw there. That must be some kind of adjustment. Another coil. I guess this is another area engineers can go wild on. But there's nothing here that, other than the capacitor there, which may be 470 picofarad. There we are. What's this thing here? This is a switch. Whoa. It's on the hole with no rivet. Is it? No, wait a minute. That hole is where this side of the rivet is. How do you activate the switch here? You'd have to assume you're shoving something in and it's pushing something over. So why would you have a switch? You'd have a switch to disconnect the internal FM antenna when you're going to use an external FM antenna. Can we figure out which is which here? I don't think it's this. Anything? Let me get the back of the. Let me get the back. The back of the radio. There it is. Oh yeah, it's got all kinds of stuff written on it here. So the upper two are the 240 ohm FM / VHF antenna. This was the antenna here, and this is the ground. Right. Can't get those mixed up. Oh yes, I can. So the antenna is towards the outside of the radio, and the ground is towards the inside. FM on top. Okay. Antenna towards the outside. Whoops. That's it. I hear a cat crying. Ground. And then the FM. So you shove something in here. Oh, maybe it's cutting off this antenna. Now, normally, you know what, this could have a long... So these antennas are usually for the AM broadcast band. Sometimes they will also use this kind of antenna for the long wave band if there is one. There may be one on this radio. There's 3 coils on it. Three coils, yes. Are you again? But you just can't stand being in the house, can you? Not after so many. Look at that. That's down, hidden underneath the FM tuner can. Oh my gosh, Peanut. Peanut? You're not Peanut. Here, look into the camera, my cat. Not interested. Okay. There's probably more to find and see and realize. But I think I got a pretty good chunk of it in my head now. So in terms of firing this radio up, no, I think that would be a mistake. We've seen a burned resistor in it, capacitors all over the place. Look, sick, tired, rotten, crushed. So I think that's got to be changed. That's an awful lot of capacitors. That's an awful lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, just at a glance, kind of 5 underneath. 6, 7, 8. 8. So there's probably 2 more I'm not seeing. Yeah, 9, 10. There's 2 more there. There's probably still 2 more. 2 more. 11, 12, 13. Did I count those already? So it's something like 10 to 15 of these capacitors need to be replaced. Careful there, man. What's that? So you get little powders on your fingers, like touching metals and things like that. A lot of those powders are probably unimportant, but you don't know for sure. It could be poisonous stuff. So when you get your fingers dirtied up with stuff, you gotta wash them up. Okay, that's the name of the game. Change all those capacitors, then try the radio and see if it works. Now that's an unfortunate situation here. We can't prove anything now. We can't prove, can we? And I could really bend over backwards. I could prove the speakers work, and there's no reason to do that. Testing the tubes, all that, not worth doing until we've operated the radio at least once. So I think that's it. We've hit the end of the road here for this guy for today. So thanks a lot for watching. Tomorrow's capacitor day. We'll see what happens after that. See ya.